Um, okay, DO Nutrition. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm waiting to join. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
There you are.
Great.
You can hear me?
You can hear me?
I can hear you.
Perfect.
Fantastic. Sorry for the 3-minute delay out there. Great to have everybody with us. Welcome to the next in the new and improved Complete Wellness Community Forums. We have decided through your input and our input and life in general that we're going to combine all of the forums into one forum. No more 3 forums. It was a little too much for us and I think for you guys. So we're going to combine the different subjects all into Tuesday night's forum at 7:45, which I think we should call not functional wellness, but ready? All things wellness.
Love it.
Because we're going to talk about more than just functional wellness. And really, what are the boundaries of functional wellness? It's really boundaryless. So let's fire away and talk about as many things as we can. I was thinking, Diana. Welcome, Diana. I'm Dr.
Thanks for having me.
That's Diana.
Hi, everyone.
Our functional wellness guru in the office. And I thought tonight it might be interesting to talk about something new and different. COVID-19. I know we're all sick of it, really sick of it. But there's an uptick right now that seems to be significant. The city, New York City, that we live in anyway, I'm not sure if all of you do. Let's go Rangers, woohoo. Has increased the level twice this month, twice in the past month, not this month, from low to medium, medium to high. So many of us are back to wearing masks a lot of the time, where it seemed like we were sort of free of it. And I just wanted to talk about, hypothecate with Diana about why that might be happening. I don't think we have any real hard answers, but I think we have some interesting ideas about the thing. So, Diana, why do you think there's this uptick right now in COVID-19?
Yeah, I mean, we are certainly not epidemiologists. We don't have all the answers here, but it seems that it's the virus itself.
By the way, I'm not even sure the epidemiologists have.
No, you're right. No one really
all the answers.
Clearly. But it seems that it's the virus itself is mutating, and our immune systems and even the vaccines can't quite keep up with it. So we have to do what we can to equip our bodies and equip ourselves, because clearly this is not going anywhere.
So let's talk about this for 1 second. The virus is mutating, as all viruses do?
As all viruses do.
So this is doing
like the flu is a really good example. It just seems like maybe it doesn't
explain that.
Well, there's a different variant of there's different variants of the flu every year, right? And that's why there's an annual flu shot that tries to figure out what that variant's going to be.
So they guess about what the variant might be, but when the flu is around, is it usually more than one strain at a time every year, or is it one only?
It's always more than one.
It's always more than one. Is that true right now with COVID-19?
Yeah,
So
and you hear it too with people's symptoms. You're like, "Oh, maybe that person had Delta. They lost their sense of taste and
is
smell." And
Delta still around or is Delta dead?
seems like it's still around.
Is
But you don't get
Omicron,
tested and find out what kind you have.
but you can tell by the symptoms usually.
I
Omicron
speculating,
doesn't
yes.
usually, you don't usually lose taste and smell.
Right.
And the current mutation variant, whatever word you want to use, that's the B2.
Right.
Is that right? Is
Yeah.
it true that generally speaking, the virus weakens with the mutations?
That's what they're saying. It seems that it is because hospitalizations are much lower than they were in 2020. But they seem slightly worse than they were previously. So it's hard to tell.
Got it. So do you think, so this is your opinion, that we're going to continue to see these waves?
Based on the past, I do. I don't think it's going anywhere. So I think it's just a
So
matter of living
the
with it and
Omicron
doing
wave was like mid-December to mid-January. So here we are 5 months later. Does that mean the next wave is going to be, October?
I have no idea, but it does seem that as the weather gets colder and as we go more inside, it gets worse.
But now the weather's getting warmer and we're going more
I
outside.
know, I know. That's why this one's throwing everyone off.
Right. Was there a wave last year at this time?
No. I think it was like early March last year. And then again in the fall, and then Omicron in the winter.
One of the things that I'm interested in is on our last community forum, we spoke about allergies. And you said that our is two parts and they seesaw. When your allergy immune system is up, your viral immunity is down generally. And that's sort of how it goes. And a lot of people were suffering with allergies 2-3 weeks ago. So that means their allergy immune system was up and their viral immune system was down. Is that now switching, do you think? Allergies going down and what are your
It's
thoughts
hard.
there?
It's interesting. It's hard to know. It's really hard to know like exactly what's happening. But it's more common that when people have autoimmune conditions, they have less allergies. Sorry, but my dog barking. There's less allergies versus when someone has less autoimmunity, like there's less of an immune challenge, they're more likely to have more viruses.
Say
Or
that again.
when someone has less like when there's less kind of threatening their immune function,
The viral part or the allergy part? Or
the
both?
viral part,
The viral part?
they're more likely to have allergies because it's a seesaw. So if you have more allergies, you're less likely to have like more viruses and bacteria, and then vice versa. So it's like more common when people have autoimmune dysfunction, they're less likely to have allergies. And the same would go with viruses too. It is interesting. I'm curious to see if like people are if you're getting COVID, if your allergies are going down. But what's interesting is that the current symptoms of COVID seem to align with allergies right now. So it's really hard to tell.
Do you think that seesaw effect is the body's way of fighting off too many things at once?
I think maybe it's our defense mechanism. Absolutely. Absolutely. But it is interesting that that's what's interesting is like, as I said earlier, like there's two sides of the immune system. It's like viruses and bacteria versus like worms and allergies. And there's a whole like world out there of people who have a lot of autoimmune dysfunction, and they give them worms to try to actually tip that scale. Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting.
It's really interesting. I don't think we're doing that anytime soon with these viruses, but it is really interesting.
So, okay, this is all theory and interesting to talk about because it's nice to try really to understand what's going on and what we're up to and all that stuff. As a community, right? We're a big community here in the United States, and different areas are going through different things at different stages. But overall, we're a unit. So it's interesting to understand what's happening in this unit of ours, in this home of ours. So regardless of our theories and our attempts to understand what's going on, what can someone do to minimize the possibility? Well, let's even before we say that.
Yeah.
We all get viruses all the time, right? That's a normal part of living. So when I say get viruses, what does that mean? That just we come in contact with viruses. So
Our immune
if we're
system is
getting,
challenged. Yeah.
if we get these viruses, does that mean we're sick? Or when we start to manifest symptoms, does that mean we're sick? Or have we reframed what it means to be sick with a COVID test? Like, what are your thoughts about that?
I think it's interesting because what we're learning a lot about is viral load. And so
What?
how much of the viruses are like, if you actually were to measure like the number of particles that you have of that virus, like how much is it? And so I think what they're finding is like for some people that have a higher viral load, at least earlier in the pandemic, at least when they were talking a lot about this, that they were getting sicker versus those who had like a lower viral load were kind of showing up as asymptomatic. And so now I think there's a lot less, it seems like there's less asymptomatic cases. You're not hearing about it, but I also think people are testing less. But what I think is happening is people probably are getting like a lower viral load and therefore responding differently. But I also think it totally depends on how well your immune system responds to the virus, how well whether you've gotten vaccinated, whether you've had the virus before, or whether you take care of your body. They all play a role in this.
A person's viral load, is that all from the outside in, or can you get a little viral load from the outside in and then it grows inside you? But if your immune system is stronger, it doesn't grow inside you?
I have no idea if it's from the outside, if it's from the inside, but all we can control, I mean, unless you're wearing a mask in like a very crowded situation, right? Then you're controlling your viral load from the outside. But what we have the most control over is how our immune system will respond to anything that gets thrown its way. Whether it's a virus, whether it's COVID, whether it's the flu, whether it's a cold that you get from your kid coming home from daycare, no matter what it is.
No matter which virus it is, what?
You want to have your immune system as strong as it can be, and that comes from taking care of your body from the inside out.
It really all comes down to, if we're going to live in the world, which we all want to do, we don't want to just stay home. Although at the beginning of COVID, I heard of people that never left the house and still got it. I don't know what that's about, but okay. If you want to live in the world, then you really have to increase your immunity. And whether or not you get the virus, you want to increase your immunity so that you can be strong.
Yeah, you
Do you
want to
agree with
support
that?
your you want to support your immune system as best as you possibly can.
Good. How do I do that? How do we do that? How does the world do that?
So it always starts in the kitchen. It starts with what you're eating, and it starts with taking care of your body. So first and foremost,
Does it also start with what you're not eating?
yeah, I mean, so first and foremost, I would be mindful of sugar intake, because what we've seen, and this has been proven over and over again, is that sugar reduces the ability of white blood cells to fight off anything that comes its way. It does that by inhibiting vitamin C. And so when you are somebody who we're all like, that's the one thing I feel like everybody knows is like, when you're sick, when you're feeling run down, you take vitamin C. And so imagine we eat a lot of vitamin C rich foods. Hopefully and even if we don't, like, we have a certain amount of vitamin C that our body is equipped with. And if you are eating tons and tons of sugar, you're reducing your white blood cells' ability to respond by inhibiting vitamin C from getting into the white blood cells.
Okay, let's talk about vitamin C for a moment. That guy Linus Pauling wasn't crazy?
No, no, we have a much higher susceptibility to infections. Our immune system is much more impaired without it. And that we've proven time and time and again. We don't even have to study it on COVID, although it's been studied with COVID. We can look at tons of different diseases and different viruses to understand that.
How much vitamin C should a person take in, whether it's with supplementation or food, on a daily basis, on average?
So food, you can go crazy. Do it all you want. Eat all the oranges, eat all the peppers, eat all the
All right, before you
strawberries.
get to that, how much? Give me a number. Can
So,
you?
but yeah, from a food perspective, yes.
No, just
From a supplement perspective, how much you could take. You want to take, so the key with vitamin C is to bowel tolerance, because some individuals do not tolerate vitamin C. I've actually seen quite a few of them recently. And so you want to start with about 500 milligrams and titrate your way up. On
what is
average, I
titrate?
recommend, meaning like slowly. So start with 500 milligrams for a few days, then go up to 1,000. Okay, you're doing it well. Great. Make sure you take it 500 in the morning, 500 at night. Then you can go up to taking 1,000 in the morning and 500 at night. And then before you know it, you're at 1,000 in the morning and 1,000 at night, getting up to 2,000 milligrams.
Let's say you're tolerating it well. How much should a person take a day?
2,000 milligrams is a good number. If you take a little more, great. It's water soluble. You pee it out.
And how much vitamin C is in a glass of orange juice?
Not much. It's a marketing ploy. There's more in bell peppers. There's more in strawberries. It's going to be hard to get to 2,000 milligrams through food alone, though.
So most people need supplementation in addition to what we're eating.
If you're sick, yes. But if you are not, it's not something you absolutely need to be taking every day.
Do people become resistant to vitamin C?
Not that I'm aware of. No, never seen that.
So you can take it every day forever.
You can. You can take it. I just sometimes think there's other things more important, so it gets thrown out. Because if you're eating a good quality diet, you'll be getting enough, unless you're sick and your immune system's challenged, in which case I would definitely take it.
And if you're sick and fighting an immune system challenged, how much should you take? There's two parts: prevention. I don't want to use the word treatment, but treatment.
Supporting the immune system while you're sick. You could go.
Yes,
you could go all the way up to 3,000 or 4,000. It totally depends on what you can tolerate. But 2,000 should be more than enough, honestly.
Good. Okay. How else can we support our immune system preventively, proactively, not reactively?
So getting your vitamin D up to a good range, ideally between 60 and 80. It's actually this is where a lot of the research has been done. There's actually a study that I just found that those who had vitamin D deficiency were more likely to test positive for COVID than people who had normal or deficient levels of vitamin D. And the same was that people who had higher rates of vitamin D, they saw higher rates of vitamin D deficiency in people with COVID who had acute respiratory failure, who ended up in the ICU. You have a much higher risk of dying. So that is like number one, get your vitamin D in a good range.
D as in Daniel.
Yes.
How do
As
I
in
know
the
what my
sunshine
vitamin D
vitamin.
level is?
It's a simple blood test.
It's a simple blood test. Do we do that blood test at Complete Wellness?
I think we do.
I think we do. If you go to some lab, doesn't matter which one, and you have your blood tested for vitamin D, and you scan down, it doesn't say high, it doesn't say low. Do you have to worry about it?
Yes. So
why is that? I don't understand that.
If you live far enough from the equator, you're likely deficient. Okay, if you live in New York, 80% of us are. But
People
what's
that
interesting,
live at the equator don't have vitamin D deficiencies?
They're much less likely to if they're outside and getting good amount of sunlight. But when you live in this hemisphere, like you're a lot less likely to get enough vitamin D, especially to keep you in the optimal range. So if there's the lab range, and it ranges between, depends on the lab, on average 30 to 100. We want to see you between 60 and 80.
So
you cannot just scan and say, okay, I'm good.
So there's a difference between normal and optimal?
Yes. And that's true of everything, not just vitamin D, but yes.
So a person can be in the normal range of vitamin D, normal, and still be susceptible to COVID-19, as opposed to if their vitamin D level is optimal. And what's the optimal range?
It ranges, but on average, 60 to 80.
60 to 80. People coming in to see you, what percentage have the optimal range?
I'd say 5%. I can probably list it on a few. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think that's an overestimation, by the way.
You think it's more like 1%?
3%.
Yeah, well, most people are taking some vitamin D, but they're taking like 400 micrograms 400 IUs or 1,000 IUs, which is just not moving the needle enough.
Okay, so that's the next question. How much vitamin D should a person be taking every day?
You have to test your levels, and you have to look at your weight. But if you're on average like 125 pounds or more, you could be taking up to 5,000, if not more, honestly, but 5,000 IUs a day.
5,000 IUs a day.
Mm-hmm.
And do you take that with food or without food?
You should take it. We should ideally get one with K2. If you work with us, we will give you vitamin D.
K2?
With vitamin K. It's a form of vitamin K, which helps with vitamin D absorption. It helps keep the calcium balance in the blood stable. It's important to help get vitamin D into the cell. You want to make sure you have it once you get to a higher dose of vitamin D. Regardless, though, vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, so you want to be taking it with food.
Got it.
Ideally with fat, if you can.
And there's usually fat in some foods. So you probably, with a normal meal, you're going to get some fat.
Yeah, nuts, avocado, you got it.
Besides increased susceptibility to COVID-19 from low vitamin D, what are some of the other common symptoms that you see from low vitamin D levels?
So one is osteoporosis, osteopenia, like increased number of bone health related issues, which is honestly, that's what most people know about vitamin D. What people don't realize is that it can very much impact their mood. So if you feel like you have more anxiety, more depression, vitamin D is the sunshine vitamin. So you want to be getting a good amount of vitamin D. And sometimes that's the first thing people notice is they just feel happier and lighter. And then the other thing is immune function, which we've covered.
Got it. Great. So prevention and
Oh, and
treatment.
hormone health. It's a foundation for hormones. Yeah.
That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Because hormones are very involved in other health things. Obviously, we know that health is a puzzle and every piece has to fit together. So far, we talked about vitamin C, vitamin D for increased immune function to help us stave off COVID-19. We have a couple more minutes. Give us one more thing.
Zinc. This is true if you get sick with a cold or anything you suspect. Zinc is the first thing you want to take. It can very much shorten the duration of any virus or cold. And so you want to take at least 25 milligrams.
Wait, let's go back for 1 second. That's once you get it. How about preventively?
Preventatively, you do want to monitor, like you don't want to take too much zinc because it does compete with other metals. So you want to be careful. I recommend taking a smaller dose of zinc rather than if you're sick, you can take a higher dose, like 25 or 50 or more milligrams a day.
And
versus
if you're sick, then taking even more.
Yeah.
And what foods have zinc in them?
Pumpkin seeds are a great source. Oysters are another really good source. A bunch of seeds, seafood. Those are some of the big ones that come to mind.
Got it.
Pumpkin seeds are a great one, though.
Can you get enough zinc from pumpkin seeds or seafood? Or do you need to supplement as well?
No, you totally can. We test your blood and we check, but a lot of people are getting enough zinc through food.
Got it.
But if someone has low testosterone, you want to check zinc because that's important there too. I know people find that interesting. So
yeah, that is interesting. And if you take zinc, do you have to keep an eye on any other levels?
Yes, if you take too much zinc, as I was saying, it can compete with other nutrients such as copper. So that's why some of my patients will take zinc in a multi where there's copper present. Sometimes I give people zinc and copper. If you're taking it for more than 2 weeks, AKA like a lot of people take high doses when they're sick for 1 to 2 weeks. If you start taking it for more than 2 weeks, you worry about copper deficiency, which can cause iron deficiency. So you want to be really careful.
And the best way to find out is to get tested.
Correct.
Good. Sometimes I take those zinc lozenges when I'm not feeling well, and they bother my stomach. Do you have any recommendations about that? Have you heard that before?
I have. I would look at what the form of zinc is and maybe switch it up.
Got it. Do you have any favorite lozenges?
I don't off the top of my head. Honestly, I rarely am recommending zinc on its own. I'm usually giving it in like a wellness blend because when somebody comes in and they're sick or they're coming in with low zinc in general, there's usually something else going on. So I'm pairing it with more than just one thing.
And zinc and copper and those things, do they need to be taken daily, or is it like you get to a certain spot and then it's okay to sort of ride the wave?
It depends on your diet. If your diet's in a good place, you might not need to. It also depends on how well you absorb these minerals. Some people feel better taking a smaller dose every day, and they need to keep their levels in check. Other people, they can get enough through their diet.
Gotcha. We have run over our time.
We didn't get to answer any questions, but I don't think we got any.
Did anybody have any questions about COVID, about immunity, about resistance, about allergies that they wanted to ask? I'll give everybody a minute just to scan their brains or type in their questions if they have anything more specific that they want to ask about. Personal questions we can sometimes answer in this public forum. If not, we can always answer privately. So let's just review. We are more susceptible when our immunity is low, obviously. And the 3 ways we spoke about tonight of increasing immunity are vitamin C, vitamin D, and
Zinc.
zinc.
And having a good diet, watching out for too much sugar.
And always reducing sugar. One last question. We're going to end with this question if nobody pops any other questions. Does alcohol break down into sugar?
It does.
So drinking a glass of wine is similar to having a candy bar?
Yes
I'm
and
going
no.
to
I
an
think
extreme.
I
but
actually think it's worse. It's like, well, sorry, if you're having like a glass of wine here and there, that's fine, right? But I actually think like in terms of for our immune function, alcohol actually depletes other nutrients, other antioxidants. So you're getting the double whammy of the sugar and the alcohol, which is why I'm always working with my clients to reduce sugar if they're having alcohol. So at least you're trying to pick your battles.
So if you're going out for a great meal and you're having wine, try to skip dessert.
I would recommend it, unless you're celebrating a really special occasion.
For your birthday, once a year.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being with us. And remember, it's going to be Tuesday nights only moving forward. All things wellness. All things wellness. Tuesday night, 7:45, with our wellness guru, Diana Orchant, and me, Dr. Daniel Fenster.
And message us with questions for next time too, or topics,
Yeah,
anything you want to hear about.
If you have topics you want to hear about, we kind of talk amongst ourselves and come up with the topic. But if there's something that people are interested in hearing about, one person is interested in hearing about. Wait, do I have a question right here? Oh, no. I think that was an ad. If you have a topic you'd like to hear about, please, we would love to accommodate your interests and questions.
Oh, someone said they sent a question.
Maybe
is it for
that
next time?
Maybe that was a question. Where do you recommend starting if you have a feeling or suspect you have a serious gut health problem or thyroid issue?
I recommend that you find a functional provider or come see us, and we will do gut health testing we'll do stool testing, and we'll look at your blood work for specific to the thyroid and all your hormones, honestly.
Yeah, I just want to say, and you're 1,000% right, you're going to spend 40 minutes asking them a million questions. So, you're going to do that. So
yes,
there's a full case history, and you're looking for leads and really trying to get an understanding of where the person is at. Then if you think it's necessary, you might recommend blood work and gut testing, maybe saliva testing to see, all these different things.
Correct. So, we will personalize all the testing. We do not just say everybody gets X, Y, and Z testing. We figure out exactly what you need. We talk to you about it. But if you come in specifically asking for certain testing, then we're happy to work with you to make sure you get what you want.
If we think it's necessary. Great. All right, y'all. Great to see you. Thanks for your question. Thanks for your attention and your time and your interest.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.